Al Jazeera reports celebrations in Chile as voters back rewriting the Constitution. Uh, Chileans vote overwhelmingly to tear up dictatorship era charter in favor of a new citizen written constitution. Why is this important? What could we possibly have going on that would influence this, not only for me to talk about, but for American politics? The Constitution is the crisis, the soapbox. A NewsGuard certified 92.5 out of 100%. I'm going to assume left wing source. There's no reason why a rigged Supreme Court should have the final say in the law of our land. The Constitution is the crisis. And on Twitter, if we just Google, if we just search abolish the Constitution on Twitter, we get these. The American left should work towards abolishing the Constitution. In the meantime, without hesitation, guilt, or apology, pack the Supreme Court to its advantages with at least 4 justices to give itself a majority. That's right. The New Republic. There we go. The New Republic is what this publication is. Meanwhile, elsewhere, it's not just one fringe paper. Debate.org. Is it time to get rid of our Constitution? 46% of people say yes. Create it to promote white supremacy. Completely outdated and irrelevant. Yes, it was a mistake from the beginning. It's broken. We aren't in the 1700s anymore. The Constitution puts half the people in bondage, and we have more problems today than we did in the past. We don't have those problems. Get rid of the right to evil. It needs to go. Yes, boys and girls, there is a large faction of people out there that want to destroy the U.S. Constitution, quite literally. You often hear people talk about the leftward lurch, or how the left is insane or deranged, or how they just want power, how they want to destroy the Constitution. Well, guess what, boys and girls? It's not just hyperbole. This is something people actually want. This is something people write articles about. Before we get started, before we really dive into this, I've been ranting for like 3 minutes. Don't forget to like the video, leave me a comment, subscribe, of course. The best way you guys can help is to share this video. Sharing this video grows my channel. It allows people to see these things and put these things together in the way I put them together. Obviously, I have my own biases, but I try to be fair, and hopefully you guys can see through the articles I point out that that's what's going on. Let's read. The most prominent members of this camp include Quinta Jurasek and Susan Hennessy of Lawfare, who wrote a piece for The Atlantic arguing that court packing, an idea they had initially dismissed as institutionally corrosive and politically unserious, could force Republicans into making stabilizing concessions. Basically, when the left is losing, they're cool with packing the courts and doing whatever they want. It also corrects the imbalance of courts stacked with Republican appointees, returning both parties something closer to an even playing field. Joe Biden, no procedural radical, has notably refused to reject court packing outright as an option if Barrett's confirmed, despite having opposed the idea during the Democratic primary. All of this has incensed conservatives, few more so than National Review's Charles C.W. Cook, who contends that court packing would amount to an embrace of the authoritarianism Democrats have seen and decried in Donald Trump. If the coverage of the Trump era has featured a prominent theme, it's been that the destructive ideas must be countered before they take hold, regardless of whether they are there again presented or likely to be brought to fruition when broached. Irrespective of the era, there are few more destructive ideas than court packing. If so, indignant conservatives are late to the game. As Arizona political analyst Hank Stevenson recently noted for Politico, at least 10 states have seen efforts, mostly led by Republicans, to change the size of their courts. So on and so forth. Of course, the idea that there had heretofore been a common agreement about the way things should work is belied by both Barrett's nomination and the consultation over it. The dead norms that critics of Republicans are outraged about have atrophied over time because of the stakes holding the court. The stakes of holding the court have gotten higher, and holding the court has gotten more of an ideological divide. Moreover, even if one assumes all that's happened within the last 3 or 4 years, or if you prefer 3 or 4 weeks, violates some previous shared understandings, what actually justified the understanding? Republicans haven't flouted the constitutional order, they've made use of it. And this is their argument for just upending the Constitution completely. What they want to do, long and short, because if we read this whole thing, we'll be here for 20 minutes. The long and short of it is this. That said, the American left should work towards abolishing the Constitution, either for a new document or a new democratic order without a written constitution. If a new constitution were written, it would be our third. It's not at all obvious why the founders and framers thought and did determine how we govern ourselves today, but for those who believe so, the fact that the Constitution is the second governing document they came up with, and the means by which they did away with the first, should have profound implications. The Articles of Confederation, as we're all taught, were really unworkable. They established a disjointed country with a pitiful, weak national government. But there was a process for amending them, and amending them was, in fact, what the Constitutional Convention was convened to do. It ultimately produced a radically new document. Per the Articles, even the slightest amendment would have to be unanimously approved before taking effect. And in this paragraph, in this argument, they have both given you the reason they want to. We've done it before. We should do it again. And this time, the American left should lead the charge, write ourselves a new constitution, make it radically different from anything we've seen before, and destroy the old constitution. And they've completely boxed themselves out of that ever happening by letting you know. Per the Articles, even the slightest amendment would have to be unanimously approved. The vote to destroy the Constitution would take every state in the Union. To cede, I believe to cede legally, a state has to have either a majority, like a large majority, 3/4 maybe, or a unanimous vote from all other states for that state to become its own country, to cede from the Union and become its own thing. We've seen calls for this, for California, Washington, and Oregon to break off from the Union. We see Texas calling for it. Every time something goes wrong, people go, Texas should just break off. We'll become our own republic again. We see this. But I think the American left wants to make it real. I don't know what they would bring about with the new Constitution, but I would almost certainly guarantee that moral authoritarianism would be part of it. That morality policing would be part of it. That this would come in, this would swing so far left, it would come back around to be complete and utter fascism. I believe it. I truly do. And I don't believe there's any way for you to argue against that while they're literally saying to destroy the Constitution. You got to vote Trump. Like, I feel like that's the only answer here, is voting Republican for this election. We're a week away, week and a half away I don't see any other way. A vote for Biden is essentially allowing this type of madness to not only continue, but to plant deeper roots. Can you imagine going to your job, wherever that might be? Are you working on the docks? You're trucking. You're working out in the oil fields. Whatever it is you're doing, showing up and getting a class on why white people are bad before you're allowed to do anything. Being told that if you are white, you need to check your privilege and you need to allow X, Y, and Z to happen, especially if you're a white male. It's getting bad out there, boys and girls. It really is. I hope you guys are prepared. And I hope you're taking care of yourselves and you're getting out of cities and you're planning to vote Trump and Republican down the ticket. It's the only way we get rid of this that I can see. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.